Hey, welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Frequency 369. I'm your host, Cesar Pagan. Have you ever quantum jumped? If you're asking what is quantum jumping, then you've tuned in to the right episode. My guest today is Daphne Mutter. She's actually in the Netherlands. Daphne is joining me today to discuss quantum jumping. But before that, she's also talking about long COVID. I don't know if many of you know what long COVID is, but I'm learning what it is today on today's episode. Daphne Mutter speaks about long COVID, and as a result to that, it has led her into quantum jumping. How has this changed her life? Drastically. Daphne speaks about how she today is not the same person she was before long COVID and before quantum jumping. Daphne today will share us her experiences, her stories, her process, her journey through long COVID, talk about some symptoms so that way if you're not aware if you have long COVID, what that is, how to identify that. And then we're going to talk about quantum jumping, her experiences of how she found quantum jumping, what it is, and how it has transformed her life in a positive way. You're in for an amazing episode, enlightening, it resonates, and it's the vibe. Now, before we start the show, remember, if you see me on YouTube, like, subscribe, leave a comment. If you're on Rumble, also like and subscribe as well. You can also catch me on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. By giving me your 5-star, it helps the algorithm and it allows this conversation to continue moving forward and it helps reach a lot more people. So I appreciate you guys doing that. Continue to show your support and your love for this channel. Continue watching it. That's one. And also share this with family, friends, at least one person that you feel will enjoy this conversation, might even like the show, might even help like and subscribe in it as well and keep it going. And without any further ado, let's go beyond the frequency with Daphne Mutter, Quantum Jumper. So, hey, Daphne, how are you today?
Today I'm doing fine and I'm happy to be on your podcast. So, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Hey, I just for the viewers and the listeners, just so you guys know, I'm in Florida and Daphne, you are where?
In Hague in the Netherlands.
She's way out there, so it's early morning for me. I think we have a 6 to 8 hour difference, something like that.
I think so. It's 2:00 here, and I think at your place it's 8 something.
Yeah, I love it. So this is one of the best things about doing podcasts is that it's not just centered around my community or my country. It's global. So it's awesome. I love this. Daphne, if you can go ahead and introduce yourself to the audience, tell them a little bit about who you are and how they can get a hold of you in case if they're interested, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. After the pandemic, I changed drastically. Before the pandemic, I was a teacher, a principal in primary school. I worked for the boards of schools. And then all of a sudden I got COVID and that left me with long COVID. But in the beginning, I had no idea what was happening to my body. I wasn't able to perform sports anymore, to work. I'm also a mother and my daughter, 9 at the time, her life also changed drastically because we always did fun stuff in the weekends, went on holidays, went camping, everything, and that wasn't possible anymore. So I went through a lot of grief, a lot of pain, frustration, and I had to deal with a body that totally changed. I worked on all levels I could work on, and one of them was spirituality. It made me a more spiritual person, whilst before the pandemic, I was more living like a conditioned person. So that's what changed. And during those years, at first I started blogging under a different name called Daphne Stockings because I needed to wear embolism stockings. And I thought when I use another name for myself, then maybe it gets easier because maybe I just need another name who's stronger than me, who can go through all this pain and all the things I went through. And then I think it was 2022, I thought, I want more positivity in my life. So I started another blog, another website, and also my Instagram account, Travel With Me Love, to gain followers who can travel with me on this journey, who go through similar things, and who I can inspire to take a next step on their journey, or maybe through the stories I share that they think, oh, maybe I can try this. Maybe this will improve my life. And then I also started writing a book. I handed in 2 book proposals at Hay House for a contest, but I didn't make it through. But now I'm working on the 3rd one, and I also see growth there because I started off and I was more of writing it all off, all my emotions I was putting in the book. But that's not a story a reader wants to read or can learn from. And then the book got a bit better, but still I wasn't ready emotionally to really tell my story from emotion and all the lessons I've learned during all those years in a way that it's readable for somebody and it's not too overwhelming, because I also use AI at times and I put my story in AI, and then AI said, you cannot write all these things. You will overwhelm your readers. And then I
Wow.
thought, oh, okay, maybe I should take a different approach. So yeah, I'm working on that one as well. And my working title is Beyond Chronic Barriers. There's also an Instagram account I created, a website I'm creating to help other people to travel beyond their chronic barriers. And that doesn't have to do with long COVID. It can be another chronic illness, even just fears that are imprinted at a very young age, which create beliefs that can hold you back from living your full potential. But yeah, I think it doesn't matter if you're ill or if you're healthy. Both ways you can live your full potential. And that's what everybody deserves.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, Daphne. So let's talk about, well, first of all, your book. I love the title. Okay. I love the title also because it has the word beyond in it, just like my podcast. Because I do believe there's always something beyond what we currently see, beyond the curtain, beyond the frequency, beyond the veils, so it's a great title already. I can see that going very, very far. So you have my thumbs up on that.
Thank you.
But for my listeners, let's talk about this long COVID. Let's talk about that. So what is long COVID for those that don't know what that is? Can you explain a little bit about what it is and how it has affected you?
Yeah. Long COVID is a post-viral infection, a post-viral disease, which you can get after a COVID infection or being ill with COVID. So we have people that get this illness from or being ill or getting the vaccination. And what happens usually when you have the flu, you have a few days in bed, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks. And after those weeks or days, you starting to feel a bit better. And after you feel a bit better, then you have one day you think, okay, I can do some stuff in my living space, and maybe tomorrow I can go back to work. Only when you get ill with COVID and I got out of quarantine, I thought, okay, it will happen the same way. And for me, it didn't. And at that time, I also had torn ankles and I developed a thrombotic leg. Now, I first had thrombosis in my leg and then a thrombotic leg. But my physical therapist told me, okay, I give you exercises. The thrombosis is gone. So you get my permission to do those exercises. And I did. And after a week I came in and then she said, but yeah, I want you to go for bike rides as well. And I said, I have no idea how to go on bike rides and do those exercises. And she was looking at me. What happened to you? It looks like you're 80 years old, because she used to be my sports instructor as well. And I went to the gym about 4 times a week. I worked 40 hours a week, always on the go. And now I wasn't able to perform simple exercises and biking in one day. And I had no idea what was going wrong because at that time, beginning of the pandemic, nobody knew about long COVID. But because I was blogging, a Polish woman sent me an email and she said, it's not only about your thrombosis and your post-thrombotic lag, it's about something they call long haul COVID. What? Long haul COVID? Yeah, you have to check out Facebook groups. And I was like, Facebook groups? When I'm ill, I go to a doctor. But meanwhile, I had visited many doctors and they all said, we don't know what's wrong with you. So I went into that Facebook group and there were so many people experiencing all the symptoms I experienced. And I thought, okay, I was thinking I was going crazy, but now I know it's not just about me. It's the COVID thing. And, what was happening with me is that I fell asleep and everywhere. I needed way more sleep than I did before. And after a while, I started going to the gym more often and I built more stamina. But then I got my second COVID infection and then something also went wrong in my brain. At least I felt it went wrong because at the time I was camping with my daughter on a campsite in Paris and we were at the swimming pool and she was swimming and I was lying on a bed next to the swimming pool, sleeping. And sometimes I tried to read a magazine, but when the holiday finished, we were there for 14 days. I read the same article in the same magazine day after day without remembering it. Whilst before the pandemic, I could join meetings without a notebook and I could remember everything. So I went to my GP and I said something is really wrong with me. I think I have dementia, but she did a test and that was not the case. So yeah, life has been really rough for me, health-wise with a lot of other symptoms. But yeah, that's why a podcast like this is very exciting for me because in the beginning, I wasn't able to have a normal conversation because I wasn't longer able to listen and process what somebody else said. But also when I said something, I missed 2 words in each sentence. So I also couldn't talk about my emotions. And yeah, it was really hard. But I think now I'm a bit losing what I'm telling. So maybe you have another question for me.
No. You're doing perfect. I am receiving and absorbing everything that you're saying because it is, you've gone through a lot. You've gone through a lot and, I can only imagine, what the amount of effort that you had to take to be able to get yourself back up to some kind of normalcy and stuff. So, congratulations on that. You know, again, I can only imagine. So, and I also do appreciate that you're sharing this story because there's probably people here in this country or anywhere else that they're listening to this that probably have been dealing with long COVID for a long time and they don't even know it's long COVID. So hopefully through this conversation, it'll resonate with them and maybe they can start doing their own research, finding groups to talk about it and things like that. So I appreciate all of this. I wanted to ask you, so it sounded like before you knew what long COVID was, the doctors didn't know what long COVID was. So you ended up finding out what long COVID was through a Facebook group. So I wanted to ask you regarding that is, how do you know it's long COVID? Like, where did that name come from? Is that a medical term or is that something that a Facebook group team created?
at first they used to call it long haul COVID, and then they just started to call it long COVID. And yeah, that name existed before it was called a real disease. So yeah, I think it's formed in those groups. But what I also, because you said maybe it helps your listeners to see that things they are experiencing, that they made be an effect of a COVID infection or a COVID injection or a vaccine. Because when I meet people, sometimes they only have one symptom because I was very tired. Very tired is maybe not the good word because you get really exhausted. And I meet people who are only exhausted or who only have more pain in their joints or their muscles, or when they climb a mountain or something, which used to go normal before an infection, that they get stuffy, that they have lung problems. And sometimes people have more of those symptoms, but there's also people who are just experiencing one symptom. And then they think, why is this not healing? Why does such a symptom keep bugging me? And yeah, it's good that people are aware of all the symptoms that come along with long COVID, and to be aware if they don't heal after an infection. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I want to make sure that everybody understands we are, just so you guys know, Daphne Mutter is, she's here as a guest because she's going to talk about quantum jumping. But before we talk about quantum jumping, the reason we're talking about long COVID, because this is something, first of all, something new to me. I've never heard of this before. So I'm fascinated by this. But I think that just like I'm learning this today, I believe this is a very important information for people to know what it is. And then we're going to talk about, or at least Daphne's going to talk about how long COVID led into quantum jumping. So we're going to get into that. But a few more questions regarding the long COVID before we make that transition. You mentioned about the symptoms. So can you list what some of those symptoms are for long COVID for those that are listening?
Yes. At first I had trouble waking up because usually I jumped out of bed and my day started. And then I opened my eyes and I closed my eyes again. And then I slept for 3 other hours. And it was like my head was in a cloud, and I often had headaches. Whilst before COVID, before the pandemic, never. I was really tired. I fell asleep everywhere, sitting on the couch, and then I went away. And then after hours, I woke up all stiff. Like, where am I? It even happened outside on a bench near Moat in Delft, but that's another story. Yeah, I've pain in my muscles, in my joints, trouble breathing. It's better now, but a lot of trouble, heart palpitations, problems with my sight, the tinnitus, the ringing ears, my taste and my smell went away. Yeah, there's so many things.
Right now, can you still taste? Is that gone?
Yeah, I taste, but through the years, I noticed that it was fluctuating, like all the long COVID symptoms. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it's gone. And when it's gone, I think, oh yes, I'm doing better. I'm getting there. But then after a while, it's back again. I think my taste and my smell are good now, but I can tell if it is as good as before the pandemic, but I'm happy with the way it is.
Yeah. Any improvement is a blessing. So, what's something that you can no longer taste today and that you miss, that you can't taste anymore? I'm just curious.
I don't know, but I also changed my diet drastically. So I'm not the same person I was before.
Okay. All right, well, then that answers that question. So that's awesome. And I think the last question regarding long COVID is, do you, and you may have said this, and I may have missed this, so I apologize, but how do you think you got long COVID? Was it just follow up after the initial COVID, or was it through the vaccines? Like, how do you think that you got it?
I have no idea, and it worsened over time. In December, before the pandemic, I had a flu, and it was a really strange kind of flu that even my supervisor said, something is really off with you. I don't know what it is, but this is a strange flu. And then I went to break, where I fell and where I tore my ankles, and I had thrombosis. Then I had COVID, and I thought after 3 months, okay, go to the gym, go sporting again. And then I got COVID again, and then the symptoms worsened. And then I read in some article that people recovered after having the COVID injection. And then I thought, okay, let's do this. And I think I got 2 or maybe 3 of them. And every time I went for it, I got more ill afterwards. So I have no idea.
Yeah. So we don't even know if the vaccinations made it worse. We don't know. I mean,
Nope.
geez, man. Because I don't know how it was over there, but over here, there were a lot of people that were against the vaccination. They were just like, nope, I'm not getting any vaccine, because no one really understood the side effects,
Yeah.
like some of the medical doctors were saying one thing, but then people were getting different effects. So it was a big thing. So I don't know if the same confusion was over there. Were there people that were rejecting it as well?
Yeah, similar in the Netherlands. And I got the vaccines, but my daughter didn't. She just turned 14. At 12, she could get the vaccination, but my menstruations changed after having COVID. And I thought, you are a girl. When you grow up and you want to get children, I don't know. Nobody can tell us when you take the vaccine, what will happen to you. So I told her, I'm not going to make this decision for you. I'm not going to tell you, you need to get the vaccine. Then she made a pro-con list and we talked about it. And she said, Mommy, I'm not going to take the vaccine. And I think I spoke with her yesterday and we talked about the vaccine and that she didn't get it. And she said, Mommy, I'm still so glad I didn't, because I didn't get COVID. I didn't get the vaccine. I'm okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, congratulations on that. I know there were a lot of parents that have forced their kids to get it and everything. And, I think I'm a big believer in freedom of choice anywhere, even, ages, no matter what age you are. So I'm glad that you gave her that opportunity and she's happy for it. So congrats on that.
Yes, she is. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's get into quantum jumping. So, I mean, first of all, the name's cool. I don't even know if that's the actual terminology that people use, but that's the terminology that I discovered. So can you tell my audience let's start off with what is quantum jumping?
I think it's more of a meditation, visualization kind of exercise where you go into theta and alpha brainwave states. And this has also to do something with my long COVID, because I was so tired. I was spending a lot of my day in delta state, sleeping, but my beta state was affected because my brain didn't function the way it did before. So I found myself a lot in alpha and theta state. And then I thought, what if I can do more in theta state? So I started to do meditations. That was also when I found out about Mind Valley. The founder of it is Vishen Lakhiani. And once they had a free event, which I particularly joined. And then he had this meditation and it was blowing me away. It was the 7 phase meditation and I felt so much better, even if there weren't any changes physically, but because it did something with my mind, I felt a lot better. And then I thought, okay, let's try, because they have a lot of quests and one of them is quantum jumping. And I joined that quest, and every time you go into a jump, it starts counting off to get you from beta state into theta state, because then the mind relaxes a lot. And I think we went up in an elevator, and then you get into a space and they prepare you just what you are going to do. Maybe you want to create an abundant mindset or a healthy mindset or jump into fun friendships, but you always are going through a door. And after that door, behind that door, there are infinite universes, but there's also your twin self. So with your imagination, you create the twin self that you think is perfect at that moment, that you want to grow into. And at the end of the meditation, you merge with your twin self, and then you feel the energy of your twin self and also the rhythm of that twin self. And then when you go out of that meditation, you take your twin self back into your life.
Wow, I love that. So let me make sure that I understand what you just described here. You get into this meditative state, and then you have a targeted goal. You know, let's say you want to learn how to play piano.
Mm-hmm.
So you want piano and you target that version of you that exists in the multiverse, in a parallel universe, in a different dimension. You target that version of you that knows how to do that. And then when you go through your process of your meditation or this quantum jump process, you find this door, or where in this case, behind that door would be the version of you or your twin self that has that skill set. And then you merge with that person or with that energy. Now, in the merge, are you bringing back to here? Are you bringing back that knowledge, that skill that's from that person? Is that what you're downloading? Is that what you're bringing back?
It's not in a way that you can perfectly play piano after the meditation.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be nice.
Okay. So it's not, so you're not really bringing back any skill set.
That would be cool.
That's what I thought. I was like, wow, I was like, I have a list of things I would love to do. Okay. All right. So obviously that was a little.
But I think you can try. I've never tried such a thing like playing piano, but if you want to learn to play piano and give beautiful concerts and everything, and your twin self is already doing that, how would he feel? How would he act? What would he do? What would he eat? What would he wear? Who is that person? And in the meditation, you figure out who that person is, and then you merge with that person, and you take his rhythm with you into your daily life. And in your daily life, you can grow towards the guy that's playing piano.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Then
But it's not the skill set you take with you.
It's not like, okay, just to be clear, so people aren't so confused from what I just said, was that you just go there and say, I want to play basketball really good. And I go over there, merge, get the rhythm, then I come back, and all of a sudden that afternoon I'm out playing the best basketball game ever. It's not exactly like that.
No, but I think you can accomplish something like it, because when you practice this every day, then I think you will be enabled to program your mind like Roger Bannister did by running the 4 mile, because he was training his mind to run that mile. And a lot of sporters after him use the same techniques to program your mind to visualize and to see what's happening in your mind. And even without training, you can make progress by only using your mind. So yes, you can make progress, but it needs a lot of practice.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. There was, I'm gonna have to find his name. Let me try to see if I can find it now on here on the internet. But there was the founder of quantum jumping. Did you mention what that name was?
Yes, no, I didn't mention his name. Let me check. But I certainly say Bert Goldman.
Yes, him. Okay. So let me say, yeah, that's a name that I remember seeing online. And I think when I read his story briefly, it said something about that when he went quantum jumping. I think he said that he wanted to like be able to take amazing photography or something like that. Right. And then in one of his quantum jumping ventures, he was able to meet the version of himself that was able to take great photos. And there was one photo that was very significant to him. And when he came back, he brought that information. I think he ended up learning how to use a camera, things like that. And then he took this one photo at this one location. He has this photo right in his office. Are you familiar with that story?
Yes, I am.
Okay, that's so. When I read that, that was my comparison to what I was describing, because I was thinking like, wow, like he said that he didn't know how to take any photos. He had no idea how to use a camera, and the fact that he went there, and I don't know how many times this took, but the fact that he came back and then now he had this skill set, it probably didn't happen that quickly. You know, he probably was after a couple of times, but the story in general is just pretty amazing, you know, because it gives you hope that when you're looking for answers and sometimes you can't find it here, there is an option for you to go somewhere else to find those answers. And quantum jumping seems to be one of those modalities or experiences that you can choose to give it a shot.
Yes, definitely. And I think it's different for everybody because I think it has also to do where you're at in your life. And I was dealing with the long COVID. So for me, it was not about learning to play piano or make beautiful photographs, but it was all about my health and improving myself in areas where I needed improvement in. And with that, I think I also narrowed down my world. And when you're in an other position in your life, your world might be bigger and also your jumps may be more complex or to other places where it stayed a little bit smaller for me. That's a possibility. But I think that's different for everyone because everyone also has a different set of beliefs, a different set of fears. You can name it, which sometimes may make it impossible to go further than where you want to go because you are not at a place that you can see beyond what is possible.
Yeah. Let's talk about the first time that you quantum jumped, right? What I understand that you decided to go through this process because of your long COVID situation. Why did you feel that quantum jumping was the solution to help you with your long COVID? Let's try that.
I had no idea, but because I didn't get answers from my doctors, I found some answers, or at least that I wasn't going crazy in Facebook groups. And then I thought, okay, let's see if I can find my answer somewhere else. And then I found out about Mind Valley. And one of my therapists told me to go travel. And then I took a bus and I thought maybe this holiday I will make it to Tallinn. Then I can speak to Vishen Lakiani and he knows how to do me because he has so much knowledge. He has the exercise program. He has his meditations. But then I wasn't in the Mind Valley program yet. But after a year I did. And I was just curious about the quantum jumping. I had no idea what it was. So I started my first quantum jump and I fell asleep.
Is that normal?
Because when you get into theta state, and especially with long COVID, at the time I slept 20 hours a day. You cannot imagine this.
Yeah.
But Bert has a really nice voice. It's
soothing,
a great voice to listen to, but it was a bit too relaxing for me. But because you're in a program, you can always do a replay. So I did. And what I really liked about the quantum jumping is that you go to another space. And for me, it was like I would imagine heaven. It was all white with clouds and everything. And I was there. I was completely stress-free. I was happy. I was smiling. And that was a person I used to be before, a bit of that person, but definitely somebody different from all the obstacles I was facing and all the stress, adversity, pain I was going through. So when I went to that place, and it was similar every time I went into the elevator, got through the door, the place was always the same. I was feeling more at ease, happy with my life. And Bert also uses a quote in every jump. We start with a quote that says, every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. It's a quote by Emile Coué. And by repeating that quote, I even repeated it during my day. I think I also programmed my mind to really do it better and better and feel better and better during the months I did quantum jumping.
Then, how long have you been doing quantum jumping?
I think for about a month, maybe 2 months.
Wow. And already you're seeing progress.
Yes. But I think when you use your theta state, something shifts inside of you. And I think in this crazy, hectic world, we are often not aware. At least I wasn't, because I was always running around before I got ill, and I definitely didn't focus on small things. I also started to show my gratitude for all the small things. When I was in bed, very ill, I could be grateful for people walking on the street, or the sun that came out. Very small things. But then also with that, you are training your mind in a way that's helpful, that's healing, and more creative. And I think most people can relate to when they go out for walk and then you're just walking and suddenly you get all these ideas in your head and you can be very creative. What often happens is when you finish the walk, you go back into your busy schedule and you forget about all those things that came to mind. And what I learned also in the quantum jumping to train my brain, that a brainwave state is also a state to improve your health. But it's also when you want to be creative, to use it for creativity, for me, maybe to write a poem or to work on my book. And when you become that aware of your theta state and what's going on in your mind, and you're able to silence your mind, the world opens up.
Yeah. Man, when you said that you were grateful about the smallest things, what a beautiful thing that you said. A lot of people forget that. You were laying in bed and you were sick, and you were even grateful that there's people outside walking. That has nothing to do with you, but the fact that you're grateful for something, because it's so easy in that moment when you're feeling the way that you were feeling, or when you're in depression, or you hate everything. You hate everything. You hate the walls in your room. You hate the bed that you're laying on. And what starts happening mentally is you start bringing down your frequency and your vibration to a negative state. And then you end up, what you put out is what comes back to you. So when you start thinking negatively, then it's going to continue to be negative things that come to you, because that's all that you're giving out. So the fact that you were able to find gratitude in the smallest thing, that is a huge message to share with people, because if somebody's listening to this podcast right now and they're laying in bed for whatever reason, if they're sick, if they're sad, maybe they broke up with a boyfriend or girlfriend or got divorced, whatever the case is. But if you're in a negative state right now, take a moment and choose to find something to be grateful for. Just look around, be grateful that you have another opportunity to do something different. If something left your life, be grateful for the chance to expand your experiences, meet new people, being around the same people all the time doesn't mean that that's the way you should live your life. Sometimes you need to meet new people to be able to have that one conversation like this podcast. Like, listening to Daphne is somebody that you guys have probably never met, but some of the things that she's saying, whatever you take away from it, take it and apply it and use it. See how it can benefit you and change your life, even for the moment, for tomorrow, for a month, a year, things like that. So I love that you said that. Gratitude was something that just hit me when you said that. I felt the emotion of love. I felt love when you mentioned that, because when you're in gratitude, you're in that frequency of love. So I felt that. So I appreciate that.
Thank you. May I say something?
Please.
Because you said maybe the listeners can be in a difficult position right now, and then gratitude is a great tool. I want to add something, because when you're in a difficult place, there's also a spiral of processing things and giving them a place and going through all the emotions that come with it. Also, just be with those emotions, sit with them, let them go through, cry out all the tears you have in you, because that's also something that needs to come out. When it stays inside of you, it will make you ill. And what's also helpful in this process is to detach from the outcome, because maybe you broke up with your boyfriend and you're in pain and grief, and the only thing you want is to come back together. But then you're only focused on the outcome. Just detach from the outcome, process all the things you need to be processing, and be grateful for all the things you have in your life, because what you're going through might not be the end of the world.
Well said. Well said. I appreciate that. Wow. I'm processing it too. These are all really important things. And these are these conversations that I hope that those of you that are listening and viewing, I hope that you have a support group out there, whether it be a family members, friends, somebody that can give you this kind of advice, guidance, because sometimes all you need, a lot of us, we know the answers, but we just need to hear it. We need to hear from somebody else outside of us. And if you are currently in a situation where you don't have that support system, I hope this podcast, this episode is doing that for you. Okay. So,
Yeah. And I didn't have a support system. So I did it really the hard way. And what helped me was the stories of other people, books, like the story of Jamie Kern Lima, built $1 billion company called IT Cosmetics. She told it, but during building that company, she got so many no's. She cried all the tears she had in her. And by reading her story, it had nothing to do with my illness, but I really felt, oh, I'm not alone. I get those no's from my body. I cry those tears because I have to process all those things. But even if the story was very differently from mine, it was such a great help. And that's when I was starting to read more books. Like, you also have the book Limitless by Jim Quick. And Jim fell off a chair in primary school when he was about 5 years old, when a fire truck came into the street, and all the children went to the window to look, and he stood on something, and then he fell, and then he had a head injury, and they always called him the boy with the broken brain. Yet in his story, he developed so much growth that now he's teaching people how to remember things. He's even teaching, now I lose the words, the presidents of the United States to remember their speeches.
Yeah.
You never know what can happen in your life, but then I think be open-minded. If you don't have the support group, try to read stories from other people who went through difficult times and who got out on the other side, because it's possible for all of us. And I think when you are on that journey, what happened for me is that I would also participate in Facebook groups, that I would join workshops, communities. And when you're in those communities, when you have a click with maybe a writer and you go into that community, there are more people who have similar problems, who go through similar processes. So then you bond with others, and then you find the community you need. Because a community with friends you build up from primary school or other places, people you know a very long time, might not be the friends you need for support for where you're going through right now or for your future. So I think people need to be open-minded about everything that's out there and just try things.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if how easy, regarding the process to quantum jump, how easy or how difficult is it to explain that process? So maybe some of the listeners or viewers can try. Is that something that you can do, or is it better for them to go research it on their own? Like, can you explain how to, like, if after this podcast, if I wanted to start quantum jumping, is there a process that I need to take step by step? Is there something like that you're able to show? Because I know you just started it, not too long ago. So I don't know if this is something that's left to, like, I don't know, certified people, if there even is that,
So there's no certification or research. It's not evidence-based, scientifically approved or anything. But what I would recommend is to just start a course on quantum jumping. It's not something you can do or you can find on the internet, because I also searched on YouTube and you have a few videos of birds telling about quantum jumping, but it's not similar when you go into the quest and quantum jump every day. So when you want to learn it, I think that's the best way.
Okay. Yeah. And then does meditation, is that a big part of it?
It's the imagination in the quantum jumps. And I think meditation, because I did a lot of meditation at first, guided meditations, they also work on developing a kind of awareness and developing you to get into theta state.
Okay. I got it. Yeah. Now, definitely, because I know a lot of, when it comes to visualizing, I know meditation is pretty important. A lot of these spiritual, anything that has to do with the power of your inner self and anything that's outside of your physical, a lot of meditation is really important because it allows you to focus yourself in the present, to kind of remove a lot of the distractions and the noises that are around you, to quiet your mind. So if I could give any piece of advice, I would say definitely, if you don't meditate, start meditating, every day. I don't know, 15, 20 minutes a day, a good hour is really nice too. And then that way you can start focusing, and quieting your mind. So then you can, do things like quantum jumping or, visualizing and getting to where you want to be. Daphne, can you share at least like one story that you've experienced during quantum jumping? I know you mentioned to me about meeting your twin. Can you just give me any kind of stories so that way the listeners have something to relate to regarding one of your experiences, if you have any?
And there I need to think about. But maybe let me start with telling your listeners that I didn't like meditation at all. I thought it was a bit woozy, nothing for me. I once did it with a coach, and I was sitting there with my eyes closed, and I was like, he still has his eyes closed. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
And then I went to an event by Michael Pilarczyk. He's a Dutch guy. He lives in Spain, and maybe you've heard of him. But during that event, he had a beautiful, beautiful meditation. It went so deep. I went lying on the ground. I took a blanket. I pulled a blanket over me, and it was beautiful music, and it was a guided meditation. And I remember I was in tears. All kinds of emotions came up, and then I thought, wow, is this meditation? That was very different from what I thought meditation was. So I think when listeners have never meditated before, it's not just about sitting still with your eyes closed, trying to think nothing, because then nothing comes. It's really trying to do meditations that you feel comfortable with, and to be okay when your mind wanders, because when you just start with meditation, your mind might wander all the time, and then you might think, this is nothing for me, let's quit. At least that was the way I was before. But when you find meditations and you allow yourself that this is a process of learning, that you don't have to do it right the first time. Maybe you need 100 times of meditation before it goes the way you want it to go. And that's also with quantum jumping. it requires to have some kind of practice. And I think one of my quantum jumps, because I had to give up work because of long COVID, and I really wanted to go back to work. I was meeting my twin self, who was just at work, at peace, with lovely people surrounding her. And I was happy being in the place, and I was creating things to help other people, and together with others who informed me, who advised me in collaboration. And maybe that's one of the profound quantum jumps I did that led to me being on this podcast today, that led to me trying to write a book despite of a battery of 5% and all the brain fog and word finding problems, because I started this process maybe during my quantum jumps. And in the beginning, I thought, oh my gosh, this is not going to work. How am I going to write a book? I don't know to find the words. I don't remember the experience I want to put in. How am I going to do this? But then I also learned, also by reading a book by James Clear it's called Atomic Habits, about building habits. Because of my illness, all my former habits were no longer my habits. But one thing I did was embracing small steps. And in his book, he says, when you want to go out for a run, which wasn't possible for me anymore, but just take out your running shoes, put them in front of you. Or when you want to practice yoga, just roll out your mat. Or when you want to read a whole book, maybe too much, but when you say, okay, I'm going to read one page, and that's such a small effort everyone can do. And he said, when you can perform such a habit in less than 2 minutes, that's okay. Just start there. And I started with those little things. Okay, let's try if I can write 10 sentences today. I also did something differently, because I thought, okay, I have this problem in Dutch. My English is not so well. Let's write in English, because then it's normal I have to look up words. Okay, let's do everything in English, because when I have to look up words, I don't get frustrated, because it's common. Till the moment my English got better and I had to have word finding problems in English too. But every time I took little steps, I made some improvement. I also wrote little note for my gratitude jar. I made a jar for all my gratitude notes, and then I just wrote something down. Okay, I wrote 10 sentences today in my jar. So that was also me practicing my gratitude. So yeah.
Wow.
I think all leads to the bigger picture, but often we get so overwhelmed with all the things we want to do, or with all the fears or beliefs that are holding us back, that we think, no way, no, I'm not going to do this. Whilst when you just try in little steps and you're grateful for all the little things you do without the focus on the outcome, you know you want to go somewhere, but focus on what you can do today.
Those are just so many gems, so many just great little tips and bits for people. I was absorbing everything, because I mean, even like when you said, like, if you sometimes, like, let's say I like to run, and sometimes, people get lazy, right? They don't want to go out and run. They're like, I want to run, but now I got to get up, got to put on my shoes, got to put on my outfit, things like that. The small pieces of just laying out your outfit to go run, or putting out your shoes, like you said, it's still small effort. Intention and application go together. You can think about something, but if you don't apply it, it doesn't manifest,
Yes.
But at least doing one of those is a good start, like writing it down. Say, like, I'm going to make a list of the things that I need to go do today. Maybe you don't do all of them, but at least you start writing it down. At least you're thinking about it. It's just kind of like putting it off to the side and say, I'll probably do it tomorrow or next week. Well, what if tomorrow or next week doesn't come, then, so just start doing little steps. What an amazing, journey that you have gone from what I can only imagine just being a very low point in your life to today. You're smiling. Your English is really good, by the way.
Thank you. That's because I got ill.
Yeah, because and that's what's so crazy. Wait, so let me make sure. Before you got ill, did you know any English?
Yes, I did know English, but I think my vocabulary wasn't that big.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I also grew spiritually. I read the Bhagavad Gita. I did this with a group. And when you see the words in the Bhagavad Gita, they are really difficult. I had to look up many of them. But with that, I also trained myself and my English improved even. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, because anytime that you do research, you learn.
Yes.
You force yourself to learn something new. And just for those that don't know what the Bhagavad Gita is that the Indian Bible or
It's an Indian book.
Indian book?
It's about Arjuna, and he's on the battlefield and he needs to fight with his family because the war is between two families and these people are his cousins and he has to fight and he doesn't want to fight. And then Krishna comes and he has conversations with Krishna, and Krishna is the same as other people may call God or something, because the Bhagavad Gita also embraces all religions. But then Krishna comes and they have many conversations and he teaches Arjuna everything he needs to know. So in the Bhagavad Gita are all the life lessons we as humans need to know to live the best life possible. But in the end, Krishna says, okay, now you have all the knowledge, go and do what you need to do. And eventually he fights in the war. And after 18 days, the war is over. Yeah, that's what the book is about. And I've gained many lessons from it. So yeah, I can recommend reading this book. I did it with a group because it's a difficult book to read and to understand. And when you are with a group, it's also good to talk about it and to reflect on it. And what I like most is to reflect on things that are happening in my life and how I can relate that to the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, that's awesome. You before you started reading this book and you started understanding and learning its teachings, were you spiritual before?
No, I thought that was really woozy. No, nothing for me. I was too conditioned.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like, do you think that if you hadn't gotten sick, that you would have ever became spiritual?
I have no idea. I think when I was little, I always felt the presence of God in my life, and it becomes more clearer every day. So I always like to listen to the flute. Now Krishna has a flute. I always like to sing Hare Krishnas who read the Gita. And the monks I met, because I also went to the ashram and stayed there for a while. They are always dancing, they are always singing, they are always happy. And I think when I was a little girl, I used to get up at maybe 6 and then I went outside. I went on the swing and I was singing. But the neighbors got a bit annoyed because that was way too early.
There's your daughter again, singing in the morning, waking us up. Were you any good then?
I don't know.
You know,
I still like to sing, and my daughter says, Mom, it's okay. And I said, I don't think this is really good what I'm doing. Yeah, it's good. Just continue.
Yeah, just sing.
Yeah.
Put you in this very happy, positive, state of mind, which you clearly are in. It's a beautiful thing. Everything
Yes,
that
and I had one lovely experience because this year they do it every year. They walk with each other through the streets, and the women are in beautiful skirts and saris and everything. They walk through the streets of Amsterdam, and this year I thought, okay, let's have a look. And then they sing and they dance, and it's such an amazing experience. There's so much happiness, so much life. And then once we went to a park, and in that park, there were a lot of celebrating youngsters drinking, and the monks and the people who are in the Krishna consciousness movement, they don't drink, they don't do drugs, all those things. But all those people started dancing with the monks and with the women in beautiful clothes, and they all sang the Hare Krishna song. And it was amazing. I thought, wow, it's like those people are so happy and they attract all the people around them to come and sing with them. Like they know deep down inside, even if they don't believe, that little spark of God in our heart, that's also in them without them knowing it's there. But it's like a kind of connection that they feel it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think I've said the word beautiful like 1,000 times. The whole moment, the experiences, the thought of all this, like even when you mentioned, these people walking down Amsterdam, I don't know what that looks like, but I can feel through your, sharing your story of what that feeling would be like. I think if we have more of that in our own communities, I think people would just, people would just like, people would change. I have this dream, Daphne, that if the majority of the people on this planet wake up and start using their conscious mind versus their physical mind, I think this planet will change overnight,
Yes.
from one
Yes.
day to the next. Do you
Yes.
agree with that?
Yes. And sometimes I think long COVID and I think all the viruses that are coming our way in the future, I have a gut feeling that this is about changing people,
Yes.
changing the world, because I changed everything about my life. Even when you look at food in the supermarket, what you are conditioned to eat, what you are conditioned that is healthy for you. But recently I also did something on food with the sattvic movement. It's about a sattvic lifestyle that's also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. And I was already working on it by no meat eating, but I also had an anti-inflammatory diet. But the principles from the sattvic movement, from a sattvic lifestyle, is also to eat more fruit and vegetables and to leave all the other things out. And they gave us an exercise to go into the supermarket and to see what are really foods and what are products. And most of the things are products and they are very unhealthy for us. That's probably also the cause why we get ill more often, why all those diseases come to us. And I think we need to be more aware of all the things in life because we are conditioned in a way and we are thinking we're doing really well, but we aren't. And when you are aware, and that's also, I think, where meditation, quantum jumping comes in because it creates an awareness which helps you to become aware about everything. Am I going to buy food? Or am I going to buy products to eat, even with your clothing, to be aware of where it's made of? If you wear cotton or something, your body can breathe more easily. And when you have all those other fabrics that are synthetic, they are bad for your, and all those little things that I think we can improve. And when each individual has this awareness and this willingness to take a step to change for the good, then our world will change. But it's not like, hey, I'm going out there and I'm going to change the world. No, you need to go in there and have a deep look in what's going on inside of you, being aware of all the things you are doing, what's going on in your life, and make little adjustments. Like a diet, don't do it overnight like I did because I thought, okay, I will start with a 9-day cleanse and then I go back to normal. I started the cleanse. It was easy, but I never went back to normal again because I thought, okay, this is a healthy lifestyle. Let's continue this. And a way easier to do is just think, okay, this is my diet, continue your diet and add more fruit and vegetables to it. So you can leave out the things that are called products out of your diet. are easy ways, little steps, like James Clear says in his book.
Little steps, and like Daphne Mutter says as well. You mentioned change, and it made me think that a lot of people feel like something is changing around us. The world is shifting, the energies. But a lot of people don't know what to do with that feeling. So what a lot of people are doing is they're trying to change things outside of themselves. They're trying to change other people. They're trying to change their community. They're getting tattoos, or they're changing their hair, or maybe they're throwing away all their clothes in the closet and changing and getting new. People are starting to change, but they don't really know how. And I believe that the change is inside you.
It is.
People are so focused on changing what's outside of them. And even through all that work and effort that they put into it, they still don't feel satisfied because they're changing things outside of them. So when you change the things inside of you, then you're like, okay, now it makes sense. I feel better because I'm working on myself. I'm changing my diet. I'm doing more meditation. I'm giving more gratitude. I'm taking small steps in my life. So the things that you were talking about today, those are the types of changes that I think people need to understand, that this is what's going to make you feel better. Stop trying to change things outside that are out of your control, because at the end of the day, you're going to go to bed and you're going to be like, I don't feel like I did anything.
Yeah, there's a funny thing in what you said, because you talked about having control. Because before COVID, I thought I was in control over my life. And by getting ill, I felt all control fell away. I even got lost in a familiar supermarket. I got lost when I used public transport. When I drove my car, I ended up at the wrong side of the road, run the red lights, had trouble parking, all those kinds of silly things. And I thought, but I'm not in control over my life. It's a higher force, which some call God. I call him Krishna, who guides us. And that's the one who is in control. It's not me being in control. And when I surrender to the fact that I'm not in control, but there's a higher force who is in control, and I say, okay, you can have it all. Guide me. Give me the signals where I need to go. Life becomes so much easier. But when you want to hold on so badly, like, I'm in control, I want to be in control, I want this, I want that to happen this way, I want him to be my friend, I want to have this, then you probably will be unhappy. Yeah, if you get to buy that car you really want, how long will you be happy for? Maybe after 10 days, you focus on something else you want to have. And then where's your happiness gone?
Yeah. Stop putting your happiness on other people. Stop putting your happiness on material things, right? It's inside of you and everything. There's there's the word that's called the universe, which is what's out there. I tell folks, start focusing on the you inverse, not the universe, the you inverse, because
Set.
yeah, because that's what it is. The power, we are such powerful beings and we don't realize it. As from the time that we're born, we are given a religion, a demographic. These are your parents. This is your culture. This is, your belief system. We're given a social security number. We're given, everything. We're given everything, but none of that is really us. None of that is really us. From the time we are born, we're given our identity. And once we start understanding that our identity isn't really our identity, and we start focusing and slowing down and understanding who we are through meditation, through spiritual healing, then we start to get to know ourselves. And when you get to know yourself, like Daphne has started to experience, then you start really seeing the possibilities, all the different versions of yourselves that are doing amazing things, things that you guys can do now. So the takeaway is stop trying to change the world. Stop trying to change your family, your friends. Stop trying to change everybody outside of you. Focus on yourself. Make yourself better. And when you reach a certain point of satisfaction and happiness and love, excitement and passion, everything around you will start falling into place. Everything will make sense. And all you're doing is one thing, focusing on yourself. It's the easiest thing. The hardest thing is what? To focus on something else. But the easiest thing is to work on yourself. And you're going to be like, wow, all this time, like Daphne, like you were saying, I'm trying to control this. I'm trying to control work, my bosses, whatever. And you're like, why am I not making any progress? Because you have no control over that. And none of that really is important. None of that's important.
No, it's the point how you deal with those people.
Yeah.
And that's also a change inside of you. It's like I always teach my daughter, because when she was in primary school, she got bullied terribly. And I learned her to focus on herself. And I said, there can be various reasons that the bullies are bullies the way they are. And I told her what the reasons could be, but I said, that's no reason that you feel sad or bad about it, but you can respond. And the way you respond can be various ways. So I thought I gave her 4 options or something. And I said, okay, try something tomorrow when you face those bullies again. And then she came home and she said, it went okay. I didn't do what you said, but I found out a way to cope. I thought of myself and I thought, okay, you did. And I thought, okay, that's really great, because when you already learn this at this age, it becomes more easy when you grow up, because then you know, okay, I have a problem with a person, but the only thing I can change is myself and the way I respond. And that person might never change. That person maybe stuck the rest of his life in that situation, in the way he acts. But that's not to you to change, and you don't need a relationship with that person. And when it's somebody you work with, you can distance yourself, act in a way that aligns with your value. And when you don't know how to act, just tell me and we have a conversation about it and we figure it out together. And that's still the way we go through problems.
I love it. I love it. Wow. As we're coming close to the end of the podcast, I mentioned to you earlier that I always ask my guests questions. These are just random questions. There's no perfect answer to it. It's just see what your response is to that. So let me find my questions here and let's see what you had to say about them. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm excited.
So the first question is this. If you could send a message to humanity that everyone would hear, what would it be?
Be aware of your action, and throughout your life, take the actions that will make this world a better place, only if it's a bit better when you leave it. So from birth till death, try to make little improvements to leave the world a better place. And that's not one I thought of, but it's Jane Goodall. Say her name correct? I don't see the book. That's quick, but leave the world a better place than when you entered it.
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Next question. So what is one mystery of the universe that you wish that you could solve?
Mystery from the universe.
Yeah, I know these questions make you think.
Yeah, I think I know the answer, because I think I also know it just needs to be here right now. But I always wondered why there's war, why there is diversity, why there why there is pain. And I think diversity is good, but more in a way that there is diversity that some people need to experience very hard and bad things. But on the other hand, I think has also to do with our karma and why we are on this planet and why we are the way we are in the life we are, because I think that's our connection with God and the promise we made to God before we got born. So yeah, I think we also need to go through all those things in life to learn from it and to become better and to grow. So yeah, but I still have a bit of difficulty with the fact that there are wars and people are killing each other.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's one of the things I mentioned to you earlier. And I don't know why. After exploring certain parts of the world and talking to various people, everybody wants the same thing, right? Love, happiness, peace. And I just don't understand why it's still continuing wars and hate and discrimination and things like that. So, but I think slowly but surely, like you said, the little steps, I think we're getting there. My next question, if you could talk to little Daphne, what would you tell her if you were about to go back?
Yes, and that's a very great question because I did a lot of meditations on visiting my younger self. And one of them was when I went back to my 12-year-old self and she was going through domestic violence and she had a really rough time. And then I had to take that Daphne into my life. She wanted to join me. And she came with me to my living space where I live right now. And the one thing she really liked was a pot of pens with all kinds of colored pens. And she was so happy and she was drawing and she was looking at me like, have I reached all this? Am I this far in life? I could have never imagined I would be there when I was 12. And when she went back, she was reassured. So I think what I guess I would tell to my younger self, don't worry so much.
Wow. I was, I gotta break down what you just shared because I don't know if we covered it in the podcast, but you brought back the energy of the young Daphne into now. Can you explain that to me? Like, I don't understand. How does that work? Is that something?
It's maybe because I trained myself to use my mind that way, but it's in that visualization that becomes so real. And I was holding her hand. It was like I worked there with my younger self. I was here in my apartment with my younger self.
Yeah.
And that's, I think for the listener, when they haven't done any meditations or when they are not experienced, it's like, yeah, right. That's not possible, but it's really something you can train with your mind, but it requires a lot of effort to practice daily.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can do overnight or that you think, oh, let's do a meditation. No, it doesn't work. You really have to practice.
Yeah, no. And I think my mistake when I was processing that was I was using my logical brain and I was trying to put it into exact orders of like, how does that work? And then trying to understand it. And for the listeners, your logical brain cannot fully categorize and stack these kinds of visualizations, these spiritual teachings. Your logical brain is removed from all of that. You got to kind of get into your conscious mind and then go from there. So I switched.
Yes. And I think there's also something to say because when you go through a lot, you also think a lot and you use your brain. And in those meditations, you use your heart more and you turn off your brain. So it's a different energy.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Thanks for kind of bringing me back to my creative side on that, because I was lost for a minute there. And then my last question to you would be this: how do you define living a good life?
I think that's by detachment from everything. And I'm still practicing that one, and to give into a higher force, because that makes all the difference for me. To just say, okay, let it be. I have my goals. I have things I want to do, but please, God, tell me what to do. And answers come in meditation. And then I pick up things. And it's also about being aware, because I also did a program on Mind Valley called the Silver Mind Method. And it's also about meditation and going into theta state. But then it's also about asking questions before you go to sleep and waking up with the answer. It's like creating a space for yourself where you receive answers to your problem. And in the beginning, I was thinking like, nah, this cannot be the answer. And then the second time, the answer came to me, and then I thought, cannot be the answer. And then it happened a third time, and then I thought, you gotta be kidding me. I asked this yesterday, and now the answer comes to me in 3 times. Okay, then maybe this is the answer I need. And I kept practicing this, and now it's like I have this connection with God, and I just give God all my problems, but also all the good of me. And then I just say, I don't know what to do with this. But then I also detach from what I want to do. But then I say, just give it to me and I will do it.
Yeah, it's easy. It's just a lot easier to just kind of, you're not really giving up your free will, but you understand that there's certain things that are out of your control.
Yes.
And the important thing is that you're okay with it. You're okay that you're not in control with everything, because when you try to control everything, you become stressed, you become frustrated.
Yes, and what is happening now, I say, okay, I'm not in control, you are in control. I'm capable of more. So I don't know what's happening, but yes. And something funny, last month we had Kartik month, and that's a month where the spiritualists believe that when you make a vow to God, to the universe, to Krishna, whatever you call it, when you make a vow, it gets doubled 1,000 times. So I said, Krishna, I want to work on my fears this month. And I did. And I'm feeling I'm still working on my fears, but it's making all the difference. It was just, okay, I want to work on my fears. Please guide me. Please help me. And magical things happen.
Wow. Dang, that's powerful right there. Appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, making a vow, making a promise to, I know you said that you make the vow to Krishna. Is that the name?
Yes.
But at the same time, in some way of thinking about it, it's also, it's making a vow to yourself,
Yes, because Krishna is also part of me, because he's living in my soul.
Exactly.
So
yeah. You said exactly what I was thinking. Exactly.
But it's easier to do something for somebody else than to do it for yourself.
Yeah.
But by realizing, okay, Krishna is sitting in my soul. If I don't do this for myself, I'm selling Krishna short, because he's also living inside of me. And that makes it easier to take better care of myself.
I love that. So whatever higher power that you guys believe in, at the end of the day, it's you. Okay. Because you are whatever divine power that you believe in, its divine spark, even the tiniest bit is a part of you. You're the same. So whether you vow to yourself or you vow to your higher belief, make the vow, make the promise, make the change. Okay. That's the takeaway here. Wow, Daphne, it's been a pleasure and more having you on this. Your perspective, your sharing of your stories, your positive attitude and your energy is something that is going to get shared through many people. and it's going to come in at the time that certain people need it, whether it be in a month, a year, 10 years from now, but it's going to affect people in the positive way. And this is why we keep having these conversations. So I'm so happy and grateful that you are a part of this journey that I'm on. I feel like I'm also sharing your energy through sharing the stories, with you as well. If you want to tell my audience, one more time, how to get a hold of you, and also about the book. I know you're in the middle of writing it. Do you have any time frame where you plan on releasing that as well?
No, because I started for the third time writing it. So I also gave that into the hands of Krishna, and I will see when where it ends up. But you saying this about the energy and helping others really gave me goosebumps. So thank you for it. I think we had a lovely conversation. I enjoyed it. And when people want to get in touch with me, I have the Instagram account, Travel With Me Love, also the Beyond Chronic Barriers. I also have websites for both of them, but also my author's website is called www.daphnemutter.com. So there's where you can find me. You can subscribe to my newsletter, which I want to send out monthly. So when I improve my health further, it will be a monthly newsletter, and I can get you up, keep you up to date with the things that are going on in my life, with lessons I want to share. Yeah,
that's
stay
awesome.
in touch.
Yeah, and listeners, I will be getting those contact informations from Daphne. So by the time that I post this episode, just look down in the description and you'll see her links. You guys can just click on it and go straight to her stuff and see what resonates with you. What vibes with you. Maybe the very first thing that you click on her Instagram might be the exact message that you need to hear at that moment, at that time. Who knows? That's the beautiful thing of just exploring, right? And Daphne, one last opportunity here for you to say a last message to my audience. Anything that you want to share before we close out?
Yeah, guys, I think whatever struggle you are facing right now, whatever you are going through in life, I know I had times I wanted to give up, that I wanted to give up on life. And I know many more feel the same. And it's not something we usually talk about because we are afraid talking about those topics. But keep believing. Keep believing in yourself because you are worth of living a happy life. Keep looking for answers. Keep developing yourself because you are worth it. You deserve it, and I wish you all the best.
Beautifully said. And listeners, and those that are viewing this, as I mentioned to all of you in many different podcasts, continue to ask questions, push the boundaries of what we know today, and continue to go beyond the frequency.